Yeah, that one is a fact, and I've stated it a few times here, right? Yeah, right from the beginning. So what we can do, and once again, let me state, under the Juvenile Justice Act, we are not to reveal the identity of the juvenile involved, and
The
not
suspects.
and not give any details that will help to identify that particular juvenile. So just a case went to the juvenile court, right? Yes, that was it. Actually, even before the juvenile court, the case first went to a circuit court, right? At the police headquarters.
I see.
Yes, even before the juvenile court, that juvenile was first arraigned before the circuit court. Yeah, at the police headquarters. You know, now there's this one-stop shop, you know, to take care of juveniles and all those domestic violence issues, you know, at the police headquarters there. So when that person was arraigned before that court, then evidence was led to show that that particular person was a juvenile. So the circuit court couldn't deal with that person. So under the law, if let's say a juvenile is alleged to have committed an offense with an adult, yes, then that one, they would, any other court apart from the juvenile court can deal with it, depending on what the offense is. But when is the juvenile alone, it's strictly the juvenile court, except also when it is murder or anything like that, right? So in this particular case, the first time it was only the juvenile who was put before the court, the circuit court. So the circuit court, I mean, as I said, evidence was led to show that no, that's not the right court. So the case was struck out. Then it was presented before the juvenile court. And then that place, the court went into it. That's where I said Madame Dapaah eventually got her chance to take the stand, and she was cross-examined. So, and before then, before her cross-examination, all along, she had been crying about this money.
She's been crying?
Yes. So she came to the circuit court with a bag to show that, look, this bag was full of money. At the time, they...
So the bag that is mentioned in this charge sheet, she brought it to court?
As to whether that particular, let's say she came with a bag to the circuit court, that the bag, at the time they arrested the juvenile, the juvenile had taken money full of that bag, or had taken that that bag full of money. Okay, had taken that bag, was caught with that bag full of money. And what she did was that, look, Madame Dapaah reported the investigator. She was not happy that they couldn't make a case about the stealing. Reported this investigator to the Interior Minister, hauled him before the police hierarchy, hauled him before the Attorney General's senior officers.
Wow.
That's how come I was surprised that in the docket, Deputy Attorney General said they didn't see anything. Look, I'm stating for the record, the case went to the Attorney General's office. They were very senior lawyers who met the investigator, because Madame Dapaah was consistently unhappy with the performance, so to speak, of the investigator at the stage, at that stage, because of his inability to crack the part of the case concerning the money.
The stolen money.
Yes. Her emphasis was on the money, and the investigator couldn't find evidence at that stage. So that's how come she hauled him before Interior Minister, reported him to the police hierarchy, reported him to the Attorney General's office. My understanding is the Attorney General wasn't involved himself, but were very senior lawyers who were involved. So it's perplexing to say the least, that subsequently Attorney General can say that, oh, they are not aware that this case had been to earlier courts. It's not good. It's scary, because it wasn't one lawyer, it wasn't two, it wasn't three. There were 4 lawyers.
From the Attorney General's office?
Yes.
Senior and principal state.
Yes.
Who
So
have
we should
knowledge
be
of
very
this case
scared.
from the beginning?
Very scared that the Attorney General's office did this thing, that this, statement can come and say that, no, they are not aware of anything. 4 very senior people. Not all 4 were senior, but as I said, some were senior, and then some were not, others were not, you see. So,
I see. So the AG's office did not have knowledge of this case at the time when it became public, or when they asked for the docket of this case from the police. From the knowledge you have, they knew about it right from the get-go.
Yes, because Madame Dapaah had reported the investigator at the time, had reported the investigator to the Attorney General. But my understanding is that the AG himself was not in the meeting, but very senior people, senior lawyers were in that meeting. So, so what is perplexing for me is that if AG is petitioned, he's not able to attend the meeting. and his senior lieutenants attend the meeting, is it that no report will be given to him about the outcome of the meeting? Is that how it's done? So, I mean...
But is that how it's done?
Yeah, so you see that it raises a lot of questions. It's not tidy at all. Hey, you petition, Madame Dapaah petitioned the AG. I'm not happy with the way this case is being handled. I've lost money, blah, blah, blah. Yet investigator is not able to show, is not able to crack this case. Can you look into it and all those other things? Then AG deputizes senior lieutenants to meet this and the investigator. Investigator goes to the meeting, he presents his case. Let's say everything that has to be done is done. And then we have been told that, so after the meeting, those senior lieutenants will keep minutes by themselves. They don't have to report to the Attorney General. That's very difficult to believe. Yeah, it's extremely difficult to believe. Extremely. I'm even very charitable. I'm being very, very, very mild. Yeah.
It's difficult to believe the AG's position on this matter that they didn't know
because
these details.
very senior people, very senior people. So the whole thing, even if it's not senior, even if you were to send a very junior officer, the point is that you were petitioned. The petition didn't go to those senior officers. You can't petition senior people in the AG's chambers, right? It has to be the AG himself. We know administratively that's a huge bureaucracy, right? So he can't possibly deal with everything personally, right? Yeah, so it's normal that he will delegate to trusted lieutenants, right? So the question is that, so after they've met the investigator and all that, is it that, or maybe it's not so important, so the reports that they've presented, they didn't get time to read through? So we can also understand, yes, it's possible he can't get time to possibly read through everything. That one, yes, I can understand it. Even privately, even at this stage, there are lots of things that your colleague lawyers in the firm will bring. You don't have time to be able to review everything.
Okay.
But so then, but there should be a system where somebody else would be seized with this kind of information, so that once they were going out public, that person will be able to make that input. Yeah. So we should look at it. We should look at it. As for the fact that they're even saying they are not aware, it's not good. As I said, because of the privacy issues involving juveniles, it would have been sufficient to say, oh, it was first presented before a certain court and blah, blah. You do it in such a way, you don't even have to say juvenile. If you say so, fine. But there had to be an acknowledgement that, look, Madame Dapaah spoke about this money last year. Her statements last year. She gets a huge money. Yes, she said she lost huge money.
That's what she said.
Yes, last year. And then, as I said, during cross-examination, she came with the bag to tell the court that, look, this bag was full of money, you know.
But, so looking at how this case has evolved and the contradictions that Martin Kpebu is pointing out based on the knowledge he has of this case, right from the get-go. The AG is saying, the deputy AG is quoted as saying the docket that was submitted to the office had nothing about the case pending in any juvenile court. Martin Kpebu says that cannot be true based on the knowledge that he has following this case right from the get-go, that the AG's office was furnished with at least some information because there were lawyers from his office on this case right from the get-go. The money in there, 800,000, 200,000 AG's advice. This amended charge sheet says, well, the full 1 million is that of Cecilia Dapaah. How this case is panning out? You're a lawyer. What do you see in there?
First of all, let me welcome Martin, and good morning once more to your viewers. I have also come into some additional information on the matter, and I think that as I sit here, the Attorney General should be resigning.
Oh.
Yes.
Attorney General should be resigning?
I will establish the basis for my call. What the Attorney General has done in this matter is embarrassing, is humiliating, is scandalous.
Why?
It's denigrating the office of the Attorney General.
How do you mean?
First of all, You just heard Martin inform you that they have always been aware that this matter went before a juvenile court. They claim they didn't know. They've always been aware that this matter was first arraigned before a circuit court. All right? For which the court said they could not seize jurisdiction because of the age of the accused persons, the suspect then accused that they had brought before the court.
But as Martin said, with the case that the office is aware, but
no. Let me tell you
AG
how.
is not.
Let me tell you how. Let me tell you how criminal prosecution is done in this country. I even suspect that there would have been an initial request by the police to the office of the Attorney General for an advice. No. Oh, no. I will have sympathies for the AG in this matter because of his conduct. Because of his conduct in this matter. Now, even if an initial AG's advice was not sought, what they attempted to do by what we lawyers call concoction of facts.
What facts were concocted?
They concocted the facts as to the figures contained in the complaint against the suspects, now accused persons. You see, what has made this matter topical nationally and globally is the quantum of money. If it were the fact that Cecilia Dapaah lost 5,000 in her bedroom as a result of theft, nobody's bothered. In fact, everyone will sympathize with her, including myself. Yes. That you don't enter your boss's bedroom and steal her money. 10,000. 20,000 because of the caliber of the office she held until recently. Yeah. We would have sympathized with her. But it is the quantum of the amount of money stolen. Yeah. That is what has shocked the conscience of the nation and made this matter very topical. So for the AG to, as it were, concoct facts by varying the figures downwards, so that the conscience of the nation is no longer shocked, is what is scandalous and what is unethical of an attorney general work of his sort. Now, let me go into this matter.
But if you look at the amended charge sheet, it does say that the complainant initially
yes,
came to the court with that narrative,
yes,
that the 800,000 belonged to a deceased brother, but did not state the exact ownership of the $200,000.
You see, I am basing this charge sheet, this is about the 5th time the charge sheet has been amended.
Yes.
So the latest will take precedence over all the other charge sheets. That's how lawyers consider it. So the latest set of facts, as given by now the prosecution, the police prosecution, the investigator and prosecution, is at gross variance with what the Attorney General has put out. That is the gravamen of my submission. That the Attorney General, in fact, he issued this advice and publicized it for all manner of people to believe that these are the truer facts. A fact that varied from the original facts. Essentially to say that the quantum of money and the determination of ownership of these monies were actually not of the person who is the complainant, but a relative of the complainant. So the nation should be rest assured that to the extent that we are alleging corruption and all that, that may not be the case. It's actually a family property that is under her care and trust. The investigators have come back to say that no, the complainant now is insisting that the monies were her monies. That is where I find the conduct of the Attorney General unacceptable and unethical. If you look at the discoveries by the police investigators on the other hand, and what the Office of the Special Prosecutor is also doing on the other hand, if you look at the gamut of money, the amount of money involved, it's in excess of 100 million.
Yes.
It's in excess of 100 million as recently as a month ago under the care of Cecilia Dapaah in her home and in her bank accounts.
So about 100
100 million Ghana cedis plus
it's more
in
than
one person's home and
billion.
account.
Yes.
This is not a matter. This is not money that you put in your back pocket and walk around with it. And let me again establish this. You see, but for the fact that this matter was leaked, we would not have known about it. Apparently, the matter, like you narrated about 2 weeks ago when we were here, the matter had been pending since last year.
Yeah.
And because of the age of the first suspected now accused person in the matter, it's been in abeyance until she attained the age of
her. Actually, let's not there was an issue of somebody absconding. Somebody absconded, and that's what truncated the trial. And then it took time to find that person.
But you see, we do this. When one person is when the suspect absconds, and the basis of our criminal jurisprudence is that the police can always proceed against a person on grounds of suspicion. All they need is suspicion. That they suspect
reasonable one, not unreasonable ones.
Oh, they tell you we suspect that you've done this. It is you to establish that the suspicion was not reasonable. But once they suspect of you having committed a crime, about to commit a crime, or planning to commit a crime, they'll come after you. So to say that somebody absconded, somebody became a fugitive of justice, and therefore the matter couldn't proceed from last year, I think in some reasonable explanation they want to give. But we are here today. And it's such a serious matter that we must not joke with this matter. And as the minority, we are taking this matter very seriously. Look, persons have questioned the OSP in getting involved. The OSP has the mandate under Act 959 to go into the matter. And persons are also questioning why he went into the account and had the account frozen. Also, the law empowers him under Section 38. In the course of investigations, he has the power to do that. And 38(2) says that within 14 days, when he freezes the assets just to facilitate investigations, he has to go to court or notice to the respondent. And that's what is done for the court to confirm the freezing order under 39. So the Office of the Special Prosecutor is proceeding methodically and lawfully in the matter. And I want to commend him for that. But we want him to bring some speed and alacrity to the investigations so we can come to a certain determination. The other matter that I want to touch on this issue is this. Look, we are a nation that suffered a lot of disaster last year and this year. And indeed, about 3 months ago, when disaster, especially flood, hit Accra again, the minister, until recently the Minister for Works and Sanitation and Water Resources, was brought to Parliament. One of her lamentations was lack of money, funding. Funding. That she didn't have money as a ministry. How do you reconcile a minister of state in charge of a certain ministry crying for inadequacy of funding to undertake a mandate of the ministry vis-a-vis over 100 million? Over $3 million equivalent sitting in her possession. How do you reconcile that? How do you reconcile? So, these are very, very serious matters. She appeared before the Public Accounts Committee about 3 weeks ago or about a month ago. There are a lot of communities with water systems that are not functioning. An auditor or the Auditor General flagged these matters and made recommendations that these systems be put in order so that people can benefit from these water systems, as well as management. Again, she lamented inadequacy of funding. And so I cannot reconcile myself to that fact and the fact that she was sitting on top of tons of money. Monies that agencies under her ministry at the time were crying. Even disbursement, how to function, how to work, and undertake projects. So Mr. Okansi, this matter is beyond mere criminal prosecution. It touches on our governance structure. It touches on corruption. It touches on public conduct of public officers generally. Conduct of public officers generally in this country. This will be my preliminary comments on the matter.
Well, let me bring Proposenti on this as well, because we're taking this case in a graduated manner, because this week alone, it's taken very interesting twists and turns. Apart from the further amended charge sheet, which we have seen, giving further details of more money plus more property that these accused persons were alleged to have acquired, and what the special prosecutor has done, which we'll get into. But I stated specifically earlier that the narrative of the money, the ownership of the money, the $800,000 that the complainant, that's Cecilia Dapaah, initially went to the police to say belongs to her deceased brother, and the $200,000
now it belongs to her.
And that particular narrative has also been captured by the OSP as the initial complaint that was given by Cecilia Dapaah. You say that per the law, the current charge sheet as amended takes precedence over any other thing that's captured in the previous charge sheet.
That is why it is called amended charge sheet, to reflect the current situation. In any case, Cecilia issued two statements in this matter. Two. The initial statement was to the effect that this matter has become public. She will take steps to correct some inconsistencies contained in the facts supporting the charges leveled against the accused persons, because those inconsistencies have generated public debate. That was the first initial statement. Then she issued another statement, as it were setting the record straight. And that statement was officially released by her. In that statement, she didn't deny ownership of the amounts of monies that had been made public. And there's no other statement she's issued since then, apart from her letter of resignation. So where did the AG get his facts from?
From the initial complaint?
No. You see, if you want to rely on document, you rely on every document that is available to come to a certain conclusion. So, apart from an initial statement to the police, the woman has issued a statement indicating the amounts of money clearly in her own statement carrying under her signature.
Can we read it?
Which one is more authoritative than that? And that is the last statement, as I speak, issued by her on this matter. Any other fabrication by any other entity will not be accepted to us.
Can we read the statement?
That statement should be available.
Really?
If you can read a second statement on the matter indicating the amount, which, as it were to her, was to correct the wrong impressions in the public domain. She's not run away from the amount.
While he's looking to read that, you guys are speaking from the legal perspective.
Yes.
Let me come to the social part of this.
Very well.
Let
me conclude before you come.
Okay.
So to wind up,
in 30 seconds.
Yes, the AG, what the AG does in these matters is to either advise the police prosecution to proceed, that's with his advice, or to direct that the docket be forwarded to his office so that they take it over and prosecute. That's what you do. You don't take the charge sheet from the AG, vary it, and as it were, vary the figures downwards as contained in the brief facts.
You mean you take the charge sheet from the police?
You take the docket. The practice is that you give advice and direct that they should proceed as they are doing prosecution. Or the AG will give advice and direct that as part of the advice, you forward the docket in question to its office, to the AG's office, so that the AG's office will take over prosecution. You don't take the charge sheets as determined by the investigators of the case. You have investigated the matter. The AG's office didn't investigate the matter. It's the police prosecution and police investigator that did. So you don't take their set of facts and concoct facts.
But was it wrong with the AG performing the job of proffering advice
in the performance of that job? You don't commit a crime. You don't commit fraud. You don't concoct facts.
What is the fraud in there?
The fraud is to review the figures downward, so the generality of the people are not scandalized. I made the point that if the money were 5,000, nobody would be shocked. Nobody would be concerned.
Okay.
This matter would not be sitting on your desk. That's the point I'm making.
So
attempt to say that the 1 million was now 800,000, and even the 800,000 was now the property of a family relative.
If you read the AG's advice,
yes.
and I'm going to
go through
specifically on the advice, he makes reference to the initial complaint by Cecilia Dapaah that the 800,000.
Did the AG give advice? Did he quote anything from that complaint?
No,
Thank you.
No, he only made reference to.
So why didn't he make reference to the Cecilia Dapaah's own public statement? Why didn't the AG conveniently refuse to make reference to Cecilia Dapaah's statement, which would take precedence over the complaint made to the police, if he cares to analyze the issues as it came before him?
You know, there's also that part of the advice that talked about the establishment of the ownership of the said monies, even after.
Yes, but I'm saying that her
narrative by
second
Cecilia Dapaah.
statement, in fact, her initial statement sought to suggest that she correct the facts and the figures, and she issued a second statement to correct. In so correcting, she didn't deny ownership of the amount of money. Yes, read that statement.
We'll pull it up. In fact, it's something that we'll pull up and we'll put on the screen shortly. Professor Mchi, we're talking about the social aspect of this.
Yes, Alfred.
And how this also borders on governance, not just the social aspect, but the governance questions that this particular issue brings up as well.
Well, Alfred, talking about governance and leadership, I think that from Russia to Niger to Anti-CC, leadership has failed us. And I say this because my friends at Dapaah Okoshi, those at Have, those at Jessica Wabu number 4. And Peve.
If you mention Have,
yes, Peve. I stayed in Jessica before, so I know that place very well. They want to understand it from that social perspective. So let's soften this down. When you have money stolen and you can't tell us the source of that money, then two speculations can come in here. Either you have stolen the money yourself, or you won the lottery, or it's drug money. So let's establish that fact, because I'm going to do deductive and deductive analysis here. Money has been stolen. I was surprised to see that the media is talking about the names of those individuals. That also borders on ethics, because you talked about the juvenile issue, but mentioning the names of those who have stolen items and it's at the court borders on ethics as well. Media ethics.
Well, but I mean, let's establish this, that these names actually only came up into the public domain after this particular juvenile.
Yes, I understand that, but I'm saying that the media should not waste time talking about the names, but let's talk about the context of what they've done. The substance that they have stolen.
I think the substances has been established beyond the names that have been mentioned.
I wanted to establish that fact.
I think you in giving the basis for this case, I read specifically what all these persons that have been mentioned in this amended
use the money that is stole for. So I understand that context, but I'm coming from the angle that let's talk about the context of they stole money. That's the bottom line. Now, it is not appropriate to steal money from your bosses. I think Honorable have already said that. But a public servant remains as such. You are there to serve the public. So if you are looking at this amount of money found in her house, I've been asking myself, why her? For the past month, people have been talking about this woman and everything, and can't we move on with other stories? But the reason why we can't move on is that there are many constructs to this story that every day new things keep coming. And when do we stop it? In the first place, the money that she was holding is more than enough to open a rural bank account. So a whole rural bank.
A rural bank.
A whole rural bank. That money can establish a whole rural bank.
Thank you.
Apart from that, she is sitting on the money that when she went to Parliament, this money could have been used to borrow the whole ministry. She could have borrowed the whole, I'm telling you. I am telling you this, my friend. Go and check the number, the quantum of money. That money could have been used. She could have used the money. Remember Mobutu Sese Seko, remember him? Mbenga was a Benga. He was borrowing money to Zaire at that time. Yes. Go and read history. I'll tell you a lot about history and even Niger, what is happening here. So let's read. So what I'm saying is that the amount that she has sitting on, she could have borrowed the ministry that money to solve the problem that she went to Parliament to talk about, that she started with money in her department.
Thank you.
My friend, I'm serious about this. Be serious. We are talking about a situation where somebody cannot get gari and granite to eat in a day. And we have public servants sitting on this amount of money, and people are washing that down. They are watering that as if it is nothing. I am scared and ashamed by this behavior. Why? Because she has let herself down. She's helped her family down. She's let her political party down. She's let the nation down. We are living in a situation where Bank of Ghana has stuck us in 60 billion debt. The country is crawling on its knees. We don't have money. And I can tell you on fact that Alfred, as we sit here, there are more monies at homes than at banks. Why are we doing this to ourselves? And people will ask, oh, you talk like NDC, you talk like MPP. I talk like SQZIL. Yeah. People always think that political parties are more intelligent than individuals. That's wrong thinking. Forget about NDC, forget about MPP. I am speaking for the ordinary person on the street. People are suffering. The street is dark. That's what Black Sherry said. The street is really getting dark. That is why we are seeing coup d'etats out there. If in this time of poverty, people are going through this, then power has corrupted a lot of people. So the bottom line is that this money, whether they lie to the Attorney General is lying, we all know that this is politics. And the politics doesn't help the ordinary person on the street. How do we get in a situation that public servants will not be keeping such money on themselves? I have some classmates of Madam Cecilia Dapaah who spoke to me about what she's gone through her life. I didn't even know that she was once a secretary of Kwampiani, the former chief of staff. When Kojo Piani wanted to stand for president, she was his personal secretary. And there are a lot of things that she has done through her life. I also learned where she went to school, and her classmates talking about what she's gone through personally in her personal life. So she's really served, And to go through this, I've already said in many platforms that for a woman to put such amount of money in her house and can sleep comfortably, I'm surprised by that. Because research has shown that women are not that daring to be corrupt as men. So for her to be able to hold that kind of money and sleep comfortably, I'm surprised about that. But I went to Israel, and there's something that I saw. The Sadducees and the Sanhedrin and the Pharisees, when they realized that Jesus is becoming popular, they decided to kill him. But it was too late for them. They waited 3.5 years for the man to be popular before they killed him. And after that, the message has already spread. So she waited too long, and it's too late for her.
You mean she waited too long to do what? She
waited too long to declare the source of the money. So now as we speak here, take the law out, take everything out. It's like thief man. The money, she has not declared the source yet. What is the source? Now we have the amended charge sheet. If you go to any constitutional word, the constitution, the amended part, after I'm establishing the part, the amended part of the constitution.
But that's the subject of investigation.
Yes.
The amended the source of the money is a subject of investigation. So there's actually no evidence that the money is either stolen.
What I'm saying is that she has not been able
wanted to establish
the source of that money. So I
that is subject for investigation.
That if you can't tell me the source of your money, then either you stole it or it is a drug money.
But that's subject for investigation.
Please let me make my point.
Yes.
They are investigating, but we can also speculate because she's a public figure.
So, Prof. You see,
I don't know why you are heckling. Let me establish the
Prof,
base of my argument.
I'm not heckling you.
Yes.
I'm not heckling you.
Yes.
And then it's to establish.
People are angry. We should not sit here and sugarcoat things.
Yes. I'm not heckling you. I'm actually ensuring that your statements stay within the premise.
It is within.
I'm coming.
It is within.
I'm coming. Let me. The premise and the brackets of the law, so that you yourself, you are flanked by lawyers. You yourself won't actually land yourself in trouble with the law for certain pronouns. I'm coming.
Okay.
Certain things that you would say. I'm only telling you that one, what you are talking about is a subject for investigation.
Yes.
So if you are speculating, it should be within the remits of the law. I cannot say that because I can't establish the source of your wealth, because you haven't said it, then it means it's something that's stolen. So I just want you to be guided. I'm not heckling you.
Okay.
Are you with me?
Thank you for that submission.
Yes.
Yes.
So under the law, if
coming.
you find you something you can't account for,
Please,
this
and that's
yes.
what
That's
that's the point that I was
that's
trying to make.
Just
You see,
so
I
it is the
am going
layman's
to the street
perspective
for
that
a
I just
layman's
wanted us to
perspective,
guide.
and you should understand where I'm coming from. That
At least
under the
you are
law-
guided.
Okay.
Yes,
Yes.
you are guided.
So
Yes,
speaking
you are
law.
I'm
guided.
speaking law.
Yes.
So
That's
under
all.
the law, if we can't find the source of your income, then it's confiscated by the state because we don't know the source.
Indeed.
And that is what I'm saying.
So I just want it to be guided. That's
Yes,
all.
so thank you for the guidance. I really appreciate that on a Saturday morning when it is 8:04 a.m. All right, so the point is that the woman, it has been too late for her to tell us the source of that money. If she had come earlier to tell us that this is the source of my money, let's say it's my money that I saved, because we are talking from the amendment sheet, the updated one. And even in Constitution, the amendment one supersedes the old one. So the new one is saying that the money belongs to her. And it came out after we have some media people saying that coming from the brother who was a chief and is deceased. Then the brother who died, wife, came and said, I didn't know my husband had that kind of money, so I'm coming for it. Then other people, even in US, sued for money laundering. When they realized that the case was escalating, then she came out to say that it is my money. Remember, about 2-3 weeks ago, we were sitting here, and I said that she should declare the source of that money quick. If it is the political party's money that they gave to you, tell the world. Because now you've resigned. You have nothing to lose again. So I am speaking for Madam Cecilia Dapaah, her own image. That when integrity is lost, the whole country dies. You have worked so hard in politics to get to where you are. Unfortunately, this has happened. Somebody has stolen your money. You went to report about the money loss, and now you have become the victim because you are a public servant. That's not what she was expecting to happen.
Complainant and accused.
Complainant and accused. So now that we want to solve the problem, I am being empathetic to her that please come out and tell the world the source of the income. When you do that, most of these speculations about Attorney General, about the people speculating the source of the money, everything will come down.
Right.
Once you remain quiet about the source, because some media people have come out to say that it belongs to this, it belongs to that,
Precisely.
which turn out not to be true. So if we are building this story on lies, then it's going to crumble one day. Because we can always poke the truth from the middle when we aim. So the lawyers can come in, individuals can come in, people have stolen money, but ultimately we need to know the source of this income. Once we get to know the source of it, then we can proceed with those who have stolen the money, why they stole the money, and then we can charge them and send them to court.
No, but
that is my
if we
point.
don't find them under the law, once you can't explain how you came into this world,
So that's the bottom
there'll
line.
be confiscation proceedings, so they'll be confiscating. Well, it didn't start today from Kwame Nkrumah's
I am
time.
helping the
It's always
woman,
been
so
our
people
law.
should understand that, you know, tell her the source of money so that they will not take your personal income. She's worked so hard. She's worked so hard in her personal life that she has at least accumulated some money. That has all been frozen now. Her personal money and this money that was found and stolen has all been frozen now. So as we speak, I don't know how she's going to survive.
No, so when they go to court under the law, the OSP Act, okay, is that this is 40? Yeah, under Section 40. So her lawyers will make that argument. So the court will give her reasonable sums for her upkeep.
So that she can
Yes.
keep it
If
and turn around with it.
Yes. So
okay.
once the statement shows that government of Ghana, like as a minister, her salary was going to the same account, income, showing legitimate.
She's resigned as a minister now.
Yes, but so we are talking about the past. So all this time, if it shows how she earned other income legitimately, and basically she must also survive, under Section 40, the judge will make provision for that. And then
Thank you. So, Alfred, to conclude my point, never again should this happen to a public servant. All money should go to the banks. I started by saying that there seems to be more money at the homes now than the banks. And I heard a preacher saying that if you go to homes now, check the polytanks, there might be money stacking.
Yeah, the polytanks.
People are speculating a lot, and we should not be sitting here and talking as if everything is okay.
Yeah,
the
president should be going.
The grassroots is suffering. I was surprised to see the president saying that she served with integrity and everything. Your loyalty to a political party is different from your loyalty to the country. That is why me, in particular, I respect Mike Spence in U.S. more than Donald Trump. Because when Donald called Mike Spence to his office and said that, now this is what is happening, will you declare your loyalty to me? He said, no, I declare my loyalty to the Constitution of America. I want individuals in leadership to declare their loyalty to our Constitution. And our Constitution talks about asset declaration. We'll talk about that when we get there.
Yeah.
It has been horrific the way we declare assets. Yeah. Because I come in and tell you that, and you have been there, I come and tell you that I have 3 plots of land at Asikuma. I have 2 houses and I have 3 cars. They just write it down. Nobody goes to verify all these things. And I have this money in my account. Nobody goes to verify.
Does it not bring, so that's the bigger governance question that
yes, so at the end of my service, if I'm able to acquire all these, I stated from the beginning that I have them. So when I'm leaving office and then I tell you that this is what I have, you did not in the first place come to verify. What are we doing with the national service people and other things? Can't they go and verify? So we need to create employment. I've said it many times that if we don't find the youth something to do, somebody to live for, somebody will find us something to die for. Our youth are just sitting down idle doing nothing. Unemployment, even when we come to Ghana Statistical Services, the figures we are giving to the rest of the world about our unemployment figure, which is 30%, is wrong. Unemployment is more than that in our system. The youth are just sitting down, doing nothing, smoking, drinking, doing nothing. And the leaders, because you can make a living, we all can make a living and decide not to speak. When I come here, I am pained because I've traveled all over the world. When I see that the youth who have great potential, you heard what happened to Ghana Hamilton's husband. He said he was selling graphics on the street. He went just 6.5 miles away, 10,000 kilometers away to UK, and he's now a medical doctor. We are wasting human resources here. And leaders sit as if everything is comfortable. No, it's not. We should wake up, and and the youth should be angry enough to demand accountability from our leaders. We are talking about Nigeria here, where the president, what is the name? Tinubu. Yeah. The only thing he can open is his mouth, not even his leg. And he's asking that our brothers and sisters should go and fight in Niger.
We will get to that Niger.
Yes, matter. I am angry because our youth are angry. They are hungry. A common form, people are hungry. Yes, on the street. The police, anytime I'm driving, they will a common form. People are suffering. Our leaders should not behave like everything is right in this country. We should rise up. That is what leadership is about. Rise up and be counted. We should be aware of the situation on the ground. It seems we are not aware. We should be aware.
Professor,
you can't sit on such money when there is hunger and people are begging on the street. Women are carrying things on their head and selling by the street. And money are everywhere just to make a living. 1 meal a day. A public figure. We voted for it. Before we voted for them, there were nothing.
Exactly.
There were just nothing on the street. You came to these people on the street to vote for you. Now they vote for you because you are comfortable. You don't think about their welfare. I'm appalled by this.
Professor Eric Enchi.
Enoch
Enchi. Thank you. And let me come to you, John Mo, because for this particular issue and how things are traveled, anybody who is looking and observing the inconsistencies in there will be asking fundamental questions about what is happening and why the story is being told differently from different cortices. You, as a politician, should be concerned as well as to how this also impacts on the political class and the mindset that you only go into office to go and amass wealth for yourself at the expense of the people. Honorable.
Alfred, thank you. I've sat here for well over an hour listening to my good friends come out with very interesting things that I'm learning on this case today. But you see, Alfred, we all, as a people, should be able to stand up and fight certain ills within our society. It is not for nothing. I recollect being part actively in the 2016 election campaigning of the New Patriotic Party, and one of the things that we had promised was to fight graft. In fact, I was in Parliament, and the very first act that we passed in the 7th Parliament was that of the Office of the Special Prosecutor. Mm-hmm. It was to create a framework that will enable us fight some of these ills within our society. Mm-hmm. But when it happens, I think we have to keep a cool head. It is not the time for us to be calling for upheavals and all that. We've seen what's happening in other nations.
Nobody's calling.
I don't think anybody.
Prof, when you were speaking, I was here. I was very quiet. And you told me to be serious because I chuckled. You better also be serious. Else I
am not going to be that is why. So your eyes spoke.
Prof. Deji.
I was here and I listened to you. You dare not. You dare not intervene. Don't.
I did not intervene.
You dare not. I'm telling you.
You proceed.
Thank you, Alfred.
Don't.
When it happens, we have a framework to fight some of these things, and I think that we should keep cool heads. And I think that we should keep cool heads. The matter is still under investigations. Speculations, I don't think it's fair to be speculating, and especially in this day and age, where both traditional media and social media are coming up with all sorts of speculative statements, which might not be embedded in facts. We have seen on social media amounts being bundled around as to whether they are factual or not. Somebody sits somewhere, concocts a figure, puts it. Look, the assumption of being innocent until proven guilty, it is something that we all should uphold. And it is something that is guaranteed by our Constitution. The matter is still in court. You can speculate what the sources are. But if it is not factual, it goes on to paint a picture which also might not be factual, and ultimately in the court of public opinion, people are going to form whatever opinions they have based on what they have, based on these speculations. At the end of the matter in court, when there is, they don't have what, or the outcome of the matter in court, it's not what they expect based on what has been speculated in the court of public opinion, then the institutions are questioned. I mean, we've seen a lot of this in the recent past. I think that, look,
whatever has been said so far here, I've made specific reference to what is on the face of the charge sheet.
Certainly, I am coming to that, Alfred. I am coming to that, Alfred. I am speaking to what is happening beyond what has been discussed here this morning. Because I have seen figures on social media as to whether they are actual or not.
That's not the subject of the discussion. So, specifically,
what's being stated here? Look, Martin.
Okay, no.
Martin, go to court.
You hear those figures.
Martin.
You wait.
Martin, please. Right.
I'm not discussing the figures you have seen on social media. I'm talking specifically about details I've made reference to copiously.
Certainly.
On
and
this charge sheet.
Alfred,
yes?
We all know, in cases of this nature, in the process of investigation, when investigations are ongoing, every now and again, the charge sheets are amended. And they are amended based on new facts that have come to the fore as a result of the investigation. Mm-hmm. So, as the matter travels, certainly, I mean, some earlier accused people have been dropped from the charge sheets, some have been added. It's a process ongoing. Why won't we allow the institutions in charge conduct and finish their investigations rather than go on with these speculative issues that are going to mar the whole case? Beyond that, I am gathering that whatever the Attorney General said were facts that were gathered from the charge sheets.
Which charge sheet are you talking about?
Which charge sheets? That's what we are saying. There
no,
have
I'm asking
been
you,
various
which
charge
charge
sheets
sheet?
since the case started, hasn't there?
Yes, no, I'm
At what
asking
point?
you
At
which
what
charge
point?
sheet?
At what point did the AG give out that statement, and on what charge sheet was available to him at that particular point? At that particular time, which of the charge sheets were available to the AG? It is not about being angry. It is not about a. But let's stick to the facts of the case. Somebody is saying that the former minister had appeared in Parliament at a certain point in time, and she was sitting on money that she could. Please, please. I think that we should be able to distinguish what personal property is from what public property is. And she is, and I will insist, and every Ghanaian should be treated as being innocent until proven guilty. If it is not proven that this money is from an ill-gotten source, why do we speculate that the nation needed resources at a point in time, and she had resources, and she could have gone on to lend, and linking this to Mobutu Sese Seko? Please, let's be serious on this, on some of these issues. If it is personal property, she decides to do what she wants to do with her personal property.
We're here.
Who forces someone to lend money to the state? And if I have property, if I have cash, there is no legislation, no act anywhere that says or advises where you have to keep your cash. If I have cash and I decide to keep it in my kitchen, so be it. It is mine. And if it's earned, so be it. It is not a case of my stand this morning, right? Alfred, is let's allow the state institutions to go through these investigations. Let's allow the court to deal with what they have to deal with. And I mean, if the sword falls on whoever, so be it. So be it. But we shouldn't go fishing, speculating, and with all sorts of a. You sit here and you say, well, and you want to tell us that this woman had led a life, she had served this nation. I am not holding brief for her, right? But let's be fair to every Ghanaian, and that one the Constitution guarantees that. There is no use at all as getting hot-headed and calling people on the streets because of this matter when we have actually not gotten to the bottom of it.
So, there's been no specific statement of people being called onto the street. If you are making inference,
that's different.
He's making his own words. Yes, indeed. But then again, I'm coming. So, because he's making specific reference to the statement Professor Enchi
and you don't want to interject. You should be interested in correcting him.
I didn't interject when you were speaking. I deserve the respect from you.
Definitely.
I deserve the respect from you. You have made your point, so you also have to allow me to make.
Nobody has any qualms.
Don't interject because I was sitting here quietly.
You made your point. Nobody. But we have all been sitting here for hours.
Thank you.
Yes.
The fundamental issue here, which has been the subject of the initial conversation which we've been having, which has graduated to this point, is one, the facts on the face of this further amended current charge sheet. That the Honorable Dapaah raised concerns about what was contained previously in the earlier charge sheet. And by the law, this current charge sheet takes precedence or supersedes every other that has gone by.
Yes.
That is what the position of the law is. That has been established. So if the face of this current charge sheet says that the $1 million is stated as the property or belongs to Cecilia Dapaah, the question is, if the Attorney General in the advice referred to the $800,000 being that narrative of being that of her deceased brother, and the $200,000 the specific owner wasn't stated, should not be a concern for you that investigations should establish the true ownership of this said money especially because of the inconsistencies in the declaration of the ownership of who owns this money.
Alfred,
that should be the subject of investigation.
Alfred, I will agree with you that the source of those funds needs to be established. And I don't think that the investigations are ongoing without keeping an eye on establishing where the source of these funds, what the source of these funds are. My point is that the separation of the amount between 800 and 200, that details was also on a charge sheet at the point in time. Is that not right, Alfred?
Mm-hmm.
The advice the Attorney General gave, I learned, is also from the facts he gathered from the charge sheets, right? So at the point of the AG giving that advice, at what version of the charge sheet, the changing of the charge sheet or the amendment of the charge sheet, it's legit. That's what we should accept. Mm-hmm. It's legit. So at that point in time, the information in there, and even going further, when you give something to me to keep in my and the properties in my possession, and something happens, in this case, somebody comes to steal the item, and I go to the police to make a report, and I report it as my property, I don't think that there is any matter there, because the matter was in my possession, in my property, in my bedroom. At the time, it got lost. If investigations further want to establish a source, and I give further and better particulars about the ownership of the property, I don't think that there is any disconnection.
That's a flawed argument.
That's
a flawed argument. Why do you are intellectual? Don't do this. Don't do this.
We can't allow you to use common sense. Then we will not go to law school.
There's what the position of the law is and what you are saying.
This is law, please.
I am not a lawyer.
Then go to law school.
So let's talk about what you know.
Why can't you
everybody go to law school?
You think everything is common sense? How can you say
yes, everything is common sense. Even our law is common law. Even our law is common law. Even our law is common law.
This is a private conversation.
Even our law is
common law. I'll come to you on that.
You don't know.
I'll come to you on that.
You don't know. I have this mobile phone that I have access to, that I'm using. Do you know whether it belongs to me? When legally you go and check who bought it and who actually bought it and in whose name it is registered. You cannot establish that on the face of it.
Law. Don't let me talk like that.
On the face of it, you cannot establish it. So let's allow the investigations to establish who the ownership is. And if over time, the charge sheet is amended to the extent that the source is being established, so be it. What is the problem about that?
Which law is that?
So the premise is establishing is that we should all keep quiet until the law takes its court, and we can't talk about that.
These are technical legal matters. You can't come and sit as a layperson and be pontificating.
Let me now come to you on this.
I have every right as a layperson to show and share my opinion on this case. You cannot say because I'm a lawyer.
No, but these are technical legal matters.
As a layperson, I will talk about.
And so we are correcting you. So when we correct you,
the person is a public person. The person is a public figure.
Yes. Lawyer Martin Pebo, and before.
So let's correct it before you get things in. Look, viewers, what he said is totally false. Listen, you go to the police station, you have to state exactly what it is. If you go in there, the property is not yours, and you state in the complainant statement that it's yours. Look,
that's the seat of public.
Yes, inconsistency. So when you get to court, what we do in court is that we call for the complainant statement. Yes. We read. Did you see when you went to the police station? What did you say? You said it's yours. Today you are saying it belongs to X. You destroy your case, please. I beg you. We are not saying don't comment.
Alfred,
technical matters, please.
And that is why
it's too late for a typical example. Yes. I have the use of this phone this morning, right? It is mine at this point. On the face of it, it is mine.
Okay.
I lose this phone. I go to the police station. I state that my phone is missing. My phone is missing. And when the investigation starts, and the police or whoever is investigating wants to establish in whose name is this phone registered, then I'll come up with further and better particulars.
But Well, your initial position, you said.
I'll come up with
hold on. You said,
particulars.
wait. Your narrative. You said your phone was stolen. Your phone was stolen. You are the owner of the phone at the time it was stolen.
Yes.
You went to the police and said, my phone is stolen.
Yes.
If investigations go ahead and actually prove that the phone that you said is yours is actually not yours, you have deceived the police officer with your initial complaint that the phone belongs to you.
Alfred, what I'm saying is,
that's
on the
actually
face
problematic.
of it, this morning, you assume that because I have possession of this phone and I have the right to use it, it is mine.
No, you said that the
no,
phone.
but
the
you
face
have
of
just
it is
stated
yours.
the narrative you are going with is what I'm questioning you
Of
on.
course.
Anyway, Lawyer Martin Pebu, you see, this one, there's Alfred Chiayeboah, Deputy Attorney General, says, good morning. The position is that the police submitted only one docket to the Attorney General, and that is the docket on the stealing pending at the Circuit Court. No docket relating to any case pending before any other court was submitted to us, which we now understand has been pending before a juvenile court.
That's not what we are saying.
What we are saying is that
my producer just said this.
Yes.
Ought to have been commented on.
Yes.
That's what we are saying.
Yes. So please,
because that was also
Internal matters.
That was also official.
So were they briefed or not?
Yes.
So the question is, were they briefed or not?
Like, so it's now my turn. So
Yes.
Mr. Chiayeboah, let us see, a very nice man. Okay. Yes, let's restate. What we are saying is that there is cause for concern that at a point in time when this matter was before the juvenile court, Madam Cecilia Dapaah petitioned the AG that she wasn't happy with how the prosecution was being done, and that, of course, she had suspicions about incompetence on the investigations and the prosecution and all that. It came there, so it means that it was the AG himself who was petitioning. AG delegated some senior officers to, meet the investigator. So it was a committee. It was grilled to find out, hey, when the minister petitions the AG, the investigator is suffered, though. That was the first investigator. He suffered. He was hauled before Interior Minister. He was hauled before the police hierarchy. All before Attorney General, everybody just poking him left, right, center, that he's not doing his job well, right? So what we're saying is that senior, and we don't want to mention names, I mean, you and I, we know each other, so privately you can ask me, we'll give you names, ask them. So the problem is that you've been saying this every day, that one docket was given to you, and we are pointing out to you that very senior people in your own chambers met the investigator and we're told about these things. So since the day we started mentioning that this case went to the juvenile court, why don't you just summon the senior people and ask them? Every time you bring this statement, one docket was given to us. I mean, it doesn't look, it's not forward-looking enough. We are saying, and we are lawyers, and we've known each other at the bar for all these years. Now, you can send me a message, call me, who are the people? Then you ask. But every time we mention this thing, only one docket was given to us. Yeah, but we've given you extra information that very senior people, very senior lawyers met the investigator. So why don't you, if you can't find them, ask me privately for names. I will supply you. But it's not encouraging at all that every time you mention this matter that this case was in court last year, then you get a refrain from Mr. Chiayeboah that only one docket was given to us. Can't you do further investigations? Can't you? Maybe I'll reach out to him after this program to give him. But he is the big man, so and he has many people, so he can send people.
That it's a possibility, and that's what he's saying.
No.
Let
lawyer proceed. If it's a possibility.
He is the public officer. He has a bigger burden. Yes. So if you've heard something, you ask, Kwebu, and we've known each other over all these decades. Martin, what are the names? Or this, you don't do, but you don't consistently bring an answer that only one docket was given to you. When we are giving you further information, further and better particulars, it's not good. So that's
that's a specific response.
Is that all?
Yes. I mean, I think you've just responded to that particular person, especially because that has been the refrain or the narrative from the AG over the period, that it was just one docket and they have no knowledge of this case at the circuit court, which you mentioned. Yeah, that this case actually began at the circuit court before
went to the juvenile court. Then somebody absconded. Then so it stalled the trial from December, around December, the trial was ongoing into January this year. Then somebody absconded and it stalled the trial. So all those saying that because somebody was a juvenile, that's why the case stalled. No, that's not the reason. Under our laws, even juveniles are tried. Yeah, we have a different dispensation. I always say because we have to give them a second chance and all that. Yeah, so it just stalled because somebody absconded, and it took a long while to look for that person. A lot of police intelligence and all that. Then, of course, good Samaritans or people who were very peeved. I'll tell you, maybe someday we should write a book about it. Look, let me tell you, the main side there, it tells you how sometimes citizens are motivated. The person who sought Madame Dapaah and revealed the whereabouts of the person who absconded is because the person was pained that they weren't giving that person enough of the money. So this is what happened. The person heard the information that somebody had taken money, and then he said, oh, is that so? Then he recorded it and asked for part of the money. Then he was giving some, but what he was giving, he wasn't satisfied. He asked for more.
The stolen money,
Yes.
the sharing.
Yes.
He didn't get enough of it.
Yes.
So he was the one who went to chook.
He went to chook. So he chooked. Yeah, he did a lot of investigations to go and chook.
And this is coming from
whistleblower with an agenda.
But Alfred, would you say that I think we should recommend a special prosecutor?
In fact, I was just coming to that.
This one, you haven't given a substantive question.
Yes. All the questions I've been asking you, all the questions, respectfully, please, all the questions I've been asking you are substantive, especially because of the knowledge of this case.
No, sir, I don't think maybe it's not been lengthy.
Yes. But I think that
so that we can have a graduated conversation.
We should recommend a special prosecutor for this. I think the special prosecutor has distinguished his office for this.
Okay, let's.
Yes.
We'll come to that. That's the substantive question
the special prosecutor.
The special prosecutor has done a yeoman's job on this by walking to the Abelemkpe house, searching for that, and then making sure that assets are frozen. He is following the law, and this is what every public officer is supposed to do to take out the public purse. We don't have enough in our public purse.
Thank you.
And we should be watching it.
Indeed, the special prosecutor is the next leg of the conversation. So, Alfred Chiayeboah is Deputy Attorney General. He's joining us on the telephone. It's just... Mr. Chiayeboah, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us on Key Point. Hello? Hello? We would... Hello, Mr. Chiayeboah, can you hear me? We'll try and work on the telephone to get him back on it, and because he called in to, I think that aspect of how this case started and the fact that there were representatives, lawyers from the Attorney General's office.
That thing can never be denied. There are court papers, court proceedings on it.
Okay. Mr. Chiayeboah, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Great. Now, your office, the Attorney General, are you aware or do you have knowledge of this Cecilia Dapaah case starting at the circuit court, even before getting to the juvenile courts that you say you don't have the docket on?
Thank you very much. Let me put this one in perspective. Our office got to know about this whole Cecilia Dapaah matter when the Chronicle reported it. So upon that report, the following Monday, the police submitted a docket to us. In that docket was this matter about stealing. In that docket is an issue about reports having been made to the police in Tesano in 2022. So in the advice that we rendered, we questioned why we could not even see the statement offered by the complainant at the case at Tesano. So even at sea, or we even confused as to what happened with respect to the Tesano case. That's why we queried that one. Now we only got to know about the statements given by Madame Dapaah and the husband in July 2023. These are the statements. We saw statements given by the accused persons in July 2023. We saw nothing about cases pending in 2022, whether in the juvenile court or in the circuit court. subsequent to our advice to the police, we got to know that actually there was a matter pending in the juvenile court, which we have taken steps to get the docket from the police. So that's the position. So our opinion or advice that you have is based on the 2023 docket, in which everything from our point of view, what we were told happened in July of 2023. Nothing about juvenile court, nothing about other circuit court case pending in 2022.
Well, but we're learning this morning that there were lawyers from your office who were present,
State attorneys.
and state attorneys for that matter, who were present at the circuit court when this case started from your office.
In terms of, in fact, if that's information, we need to also look at that information. In fact, we've been happy that we are getting information from, for example, my firm at the table about the case pending at the juvenile court, which have taken steps to work on. So the police, they not usually do the prosecutions in the various courts until our attention is drawn to a pending case. When we are advancing our docket, we are not able to do anything outside the docket that we are given. So instead of information that you provided, we follow it up to see whether attorneys were in court, were they handling the matter, or they were in court to do what. We'll be looking at all those things. I'm not for the information that you provided.
I see, but is your office also aware that Cecilia Dapaah, during the initial stages of this case, actually petitioned the AG's office, your office, about the conduct of the investigator, the investigator on this
and
case?
He was called before a Sanhedrin.
The investigator was actually questioned as to why there isn't much interest to establish the monetary aspect of this particular case, the monies that were stolen. Are you aware of that?
If I get this question, is it Madam Dapaah petition our office?
Yes, she raised concerns. She raised concerns about the investigator on this case at the initial stages when it was at the circuit court and even graduated to the juvenile court. She raised concerns about the investigator on this case not showing so much seriousness to establish the money, the quantum of the money that was involved. Your office did not get that notice?
I have not cited any petition by Madam Dapaah. If Madam Dapaah has filed any petition before our office, definitely you have it. I will need to check. I have not cited a petition filed by Madam Dapaah to the fact that an investigator was not doing his work as to the ceiling. I have not. And I don't know whether, but I will check. It's something that is news to me.
Yeah, so, Mr. Counsel, tell
Yes.
him, I will give him further details.
Even the date.
Very wrong. I'll be happy.
Yeah.
I see. Okay, so that would have to be established. But it's quite strange, to say the least, that you said you got knowledge of this case after it was published by the Chronicle in the newspaper?
Exactly the point.
Hey.
Until the Chronicle came out with that report, we were not aware about the pendency of this particular matter in the circuit court. Yes, that's the truth.
So the state attorneys, what's the standard operating procedure in your office?
I don't know what you may want to know, but our office is operated, in terms of the criminal division, is operated by the Director of Public Prosecution, an astute lawyer. They have their own ways of doing things. If they have cases, they go through the processes, assign the dockets to lawyers to handle. When they handle the matters, I don't know if there's any for us to even involve the Attorney General himself or any of us, they will get involved. So principally, the DPP who handles everything about the prosecution division in the ministry, subject to supervision of the Attorney General.
One of the other issues in here is the money. Your advice captured the narrative that the $800,000 belongs to her deceased brother, and then the $200,000 you couldn't, or she couldn't state the specific ownership of it. The current charge sheet, which per the law, as your colleague lawyers have indicated, supersedes the details of the previous charge sheets as stated, that the $1 million is stated here as money that belongs to Cecilia Dapaah. How do we reconcile the two?
I don't think there's any confusion here. Now, our review of the docket established that Madam Cecilia Dapaah and her brother gave statements to the effect that the $800,000 belonged to the deceased brother. That's what we saw in the docket. Now, the police went to court last week and amended the charge sheet. Because they received our letter earlier than last week. We don't know whether they make further investigations and perhaps come to the conclusion that that money belongs to her. That's something that they need to inform us. So what happened in court last week, or within the week, is something that the police did without regard to us because they are permitted to do so. So we thank them to do further investigations and then report to our office for us to take up the matter. So let's leave them to work there. That's where they've had new information contradicting the statement on the document submitted to us. That's within their purview, and they have to notify us. In any event, I was also a bit happy when I read the motion filed by the OSP. The OSP also, in the motion that was filed in the court, indicated that their investigation also, the initial investigation also to the fact that Madam Dapaah said the $800,000 belongs to the deceased brother, and then it was confirmed by her own brother. So I do not know how come the police are still saying it is $800,000 belonging to her. Maybe that's the new information that they speak. We task them to do further investigation. So let's wait.
But you also directed them to look into issues of money laundering, right? In this particular case, because
we directed them to do issues of money laundering to know the source of the 800,000 Ghana cedis, the $800,000, the $200,000, and the 300,000 euros. So we are still waiting for them to give us the feedback on the investigation they've done with respect to the source of that money, to know whether we can have any charge of money laundering.
Okay, but then you made reference to that narrative of the $800,000 being her deceased brothers, but then you still want to establish the true ownership of it, whether it borders on money laundering. Yes,
in the statement, it was indicated by Madam Dapaah and the brother that 800,000 belonged to the late brother. We still insisted, in our opinion, that the police must establish whether indeed that money belonged to the brother or not. We were not taking the statement that she's given us as a gospel proof. I also task the police to also look at if the money belongs to the brother or whoever, the source of that money must also be established.
Okay. Alfred Chua, thank you. For Dapaah, so that is what's in he just called in to make an intervention, but I think that the questions I've asked also brings up other issues. How does the AG's office work? I mean, I asked that question about the standard operating procedure, because if they got to know of this case only when it was published in the Chronicle newspaper, that is the AG and his deputy, that's concerning, to say the least.
Yeah, that's what I raised earlier. So it tells you that because it's a big bureaucracy, so sometimes these things can happen. So now it means that it's the senior lieutenants who didn't draw their attention to it. Yeah, because they are quite senior.
What is the process of briefing the AG? They have to brief the AG of some of these cases.
I can imagine the caseload. So that side, perhaps we should be looking at, maybe we can look into it further. I don't have too much information, but so sometimes it can be alarming. Yeah,
but the special prosecutor now also stepping in. The latest development is that this accounts being frozen, and the money's in there as well, and the further monies that were found at her residence. We've seen the monies quoted by the special prosecutor in his release, and the fact that he is also taking steps now to extend the period of the freezing of the account of Cecilia Dapaah. We counted 7 bank accounts held in 2 banks, and the monies that were found at her residence, additional money, $590,000 plus 2,730,000 cedis found at the Abelemkpe residence, and authorized officers of the OSP seized the discovered cash sums on reasonable grounds that they were suspected tainted property in accordance with Section 32(1) of Act 959, and as it was necessary to exercise the power of seizure to prevent concealment of the cash sums. this is what the special prosecutor has done. How does that also change or bring a lot more dynamics to this particular case that we're dealing with, Lawyer Martin Pebu?
Great. So today that's a substantive question. This is the one that I was waiting for all morning. You know why? Because you remember for how many weeks now I've been drumming it into viewers' ears that look, the OSP said it had found something significant.
Indeed.
It had found something significant. Something significant.
And we wanted to know how significant
so
it
now
was.
you see, this is a tip of the iceberg. Then on the 17th, they are going to court on the 17th, right? That's when you hear the $5 million and the etc. Yeah, that's it. So at least you see with this one, at least this, they've stated it in the court papers, $590,000. If you convert into Ghana cedis, we are looking at least that's about 6 million, right? 6 million veritable Ghanaian cedis. And then 2.7 million. Can you imagine? That's on the day of the search. So at least, you remember what Professor Entry mentioned earlier, that the OSP has done a remarkable job. That's a yeoman's job. So you see what I've been saying? You see, the OSP is vindicated. But of course, we don't want the OSP to get solely headed. There's still a lot more to be done. So the naysayers, you still have a lot of work to do. Why not? Yeah, keep the vigilance. And then those of us who are support will also support. Then there's a balance so that he can continue doing the job. Yeah, so you see the case, somebody said the case keeps mutating. And so you know what? A lawyer says something, and that's profound. Of course, others have said it's Tunanda is hitting me. Now look, why don't we for now suspend the criminal prosecution and try to investigate, get these suspects to be able to reveal the identities of people who were coming to see Madame Dapaah, or did they see who brought money, who carried bags? That will help. Because you see, this investigation is ongoing. There's a part that, and we've mentioned it and I repeat again, we are not watching. Do you know that, we've said it before, if the people who gave the money don't come out, and it will be a miracle, it will take a miracle, and that's even putting it very nicely, for them to come out and say we are the ones who gave the money. They are not going to come out, most likely. Madame Dapaah is not going to hang herself by revealing those persons. Because under the law, there's a softer version. If you don't get the corruption under the LI 2374 and also Article 286 Clause 4, once you cannot explain the source of the money, there's a lower threshold, there's a lower proceedings, which is that the OSP will start new proceedings for confiscation. That, okay, we found so much money, Madame Dapaah cannot explain, we are taking that money away. And that's always been our law, as I keep saying, even from Kwame Nkrumah's time. Kwame Nkrumah's appointees went through all that. The same lifestyle, or did they appear before the Giage Commission? So those who couldn't justify their properties, some were prosecuted subsequently, and the properties were confiscated.
Okay.
Fast forward, so it's always been like that. So what I'm saying is that we may end up not getting a corruption prosecution because we are not getting the rest of the evidence that will show that this is a crime. Hey, because two people met privately or alleged or probably met and money exchange hands possibly over contracts. Hey, it will take a miracle for them to come out and say we met and then exchange this money. You see, so what the lawyer is saying, and which makes sense, is that look, perhaps we should suspend this criminal prosecution for now, because in any event, lawyer Dapaah will tell you there's no limitations, so that we try to talk to the accused persons who knew Madame Dapaah and who were close there, to get information from them, and depending on that information, how worthy it is, you just suspend this criminal prosecution, because that's how it is done. Sometimes you need to trade, you see, you need to, and that's the plea bargaining and all those things. So we shouldn't be rushing with this criminal prosecution. We should be interested in asking the accused persons. They should tell us who and who would come into the house, who and who, did they ever see money, so much, you see, so that, because, as I said, it will take a miracle for the people who brought the money to come out to hang themselves. Madame Dapaah is not likely to do that.
It's another interest that you have in there raises bigger questions about, you know, the asset declaration regime and so on. But you see, in other jurisdictions, when this happens, it triggers the establishment of structures, systems,
Thank
the
you.
amendment of existing laws,
Yes.
the institution of new laws to ensure that it doesn't happen again.
Thank you.
This was someone's dream to make $1 million. Other politicians are living the dream of someone who was dismissed for having the dream. Yes. Now that dream it's been actualized by others because after that, after her dismissal, we failed to put structures in place to ensure that whoever attempts to actualize the dream will be exposed, even if the leader at the time decides not to take the same action of dismissing whoever is involved. What has to be done?
Yeah, so we'll come back to that thing about the new law, the conduct of public code of conduct of public officers. Yes, that law. And I'm happy, Professor Entry, you are very passionate about it too. So let's have a stakeholders conference. Some people have already agreed. Yeah. That we should have a
But I've told you
and the honorable
members.
thank you. So
That's actually our next topic for the next thought leadership.
Thank
we
you.
should not allow the IMF to come and give us that mandate.
Because we understand
We should do it ourselves.
Thank you.
There's a technical committee meeting. So the technical
Very
committee.
good. Let's
the
push
IMF
it.
is.
That is why
Let's
we're a member
push
of
it,
parliament.
because-
Initiate that individual bill and let's move it forward.
Yes.
Yes.
Our lifestyle as public officers should be washed.
Thank you.
We should live a decent life. Look at Angela Merkel in Germany.
Thank you.
And the way she led her life. That
Perfect.
is public service. And
Good.
distinguishedly, everybody will talk about it. Posterity will even reward you.
Thank you. Lawyer.
Okay, good. Yes, so the first part of it, the point is that, so we are saying that, look, the current bill that cabinet is looked at, and we are saying throw it into the dustbin. It doesn't have the most biting provisions that we are looking for. It doesn't have, and so we need to rework it. That draft bill for code of conduct for public officers is not strong enough. We need to rework it totally. Yes, now thankfully the IMF has made it a conditionality.
Yeah.
So let's do it. Let's do it quickly. The government itself, as we are preparing to do our stakeholders conference, government should also maybe come and join us. Let's have one broad discussion. So number one, or is it number two, since we've said government should invite us or come and join our coalition. Number two, so you look at the old law that for the past 4 or so weeks we've been referring to about publication of the assets. This is public and political party holders, into brackets, Declaration of Assets and Eligibility Act, 1992. You say, published in Government Gazette on 15th May 1992, blah, blah, blah. So this is the law. This is the law. 1992, when Rawlings, okay? Yes, the Constitution came into effect, it's not 1993.
Yes.
Yes, so even Rawlings, as a dictator, could pass this law. So you go to section, and pass it about what? Amongst all the things, what we are interested in, the publication of the assets in the Gazette. So section 2, subsection 1. I'm just interested in that second part. It says, assets declared under this section shall be published in the Gazette within 14 days of submission. So you go on, that's it. And before this law, as I said, it had always been there from Kwame Nkrumah's time. We'd always had publication. So nobody is coming to teach us publication in Ghana. For us, it's part of our culture.
Right.
So if some people were able to smuggle it out, we are bringing back publication and verification.
Right.
Then look at the OECD law. The OECD, there's been a paper that they did. I wanted to read. Okay, let me paraphrase. So the OECD, the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development, right? They also say, they say that any asset declaration law that doesn't give the opportunity for citizens to be able to scrutinize what
And
has
verify.
been published is useless.
Okay.
It's useless because it's not effective.
Right.
It is not.
It is not.
Thank you.
This is key point. We'll be back shortly after this quick break. Stay with us. This conversation continues.